r/ask Reddit. What is the single most liberating thought that you've ever had? That everyone's too busy thinking about themselves to remember that one time I embarrassed myself by saying the wrong thing. I can't count the number of times I've woken up with a hangover thinking I can't believe I said that. Everyone must think I'm an idiot. I'm not sure I ever woke up thinking I can't believe my friend said that. What an idiot. Maybe you're just the only idiot in your friend group. I was so ashamed of saying you too when the person taking tickets told me enjoy your movie until I got a job selling tickets at a movie theater. I got it all the time. We literally don't give a duck. The counter to this is as a bartender when I walk up to a customer and say hey how are you and they reply Bud Light. I can do anything I want as long as I accept the consequences. Radical freedom intensifies. Heavy breathing. If new evidence presents itself, it's okay to change my beliefs about something. Even if those beliefs felt like part of who I was before, it's okay to change my mind. In fact, that's a huge sign of intelligence and maturity, to be able to gain new information and process it, then form an opinion that may be different than the one you had before. That's why I take flip-flopping in politics with a grain of salt. If we never changed our minds based on new facts and realizations, we'd still be living by the code of Hammurabi. There is a difference though between changing your mind when presented to new evidence and pandering to the current audience. The latter is generally what people mean when they say politicians are flip-flopping. That I'd probably miss being in a relationship more than the person I was with. Felt so free when I broke it off. I once heard a great quote that I like to share when friends are missing exes, especially if they weren't really good for them. Ending a bad relationship is like having an infected tooth pulled. Even though it was hurting you and you know it had to go, it'll still feel odd and make you miss it a little when you feel the spot where it used to be and see that it isn't there anymore. Paraphrase that horribly, but you get the idea. I didn't mind not being alive before I was born. I probably won't mind being dead once I'm out of there. It's the dying part that worries me. P.C. The idea of not being able to think after death just terrifies me more. That is it. Not being is kind of a letdown. I want more. That whatever is worrying me at this moment won't be an issue in a few years most likely. 2 rules to live by. Don't sweat the small stuff. It's all small stuff. Also, 1. Don't sweat the petty things. 2. Don't pet the sweaty things. That every person that you pass on the street has a story, a reason for why they dress, how they act, they have motivations and beliefs just like you. It's an obvious point, but it has helped me be emphatic and compassionate. I was 14 and I was in Pizza Hut looking around at everyone eating their pizza when this hit me like a bowling ball to the gut. I tried to tell my mom how amazing and absurd that seemed. I imagine she thought it was pretty cute. I wonder where all those Pizza Hut people are now. Someone else posted this a little while ago on an Ask Reddit thread for famous quotes. A prison becomes a home when you have the key. George Sterling, when asked why he carried a cyanide pill around with him. Note to self, never ask George Sterling for an aspirin. He's been dead for 90 years. You'll be fine unless you encounter his corpse. I can say no to my parents. I'm still working on this one. Just tell them you have a headache. Ran out of TP, sat in the bathroom for 10 minutes and then realized I don't need to wipe. I can shower, liberated. Or just use the cardboard roll. I had already eaten it. That my friends do in fact like me and aren't annoyed that I'm around. Or we just wouldn't be friends. I used to think this, but a group of friends I'm kinda into has this one guy who is a total parasite. When asked why they hang out with him, they say we pity him, he hangs out with us. Honestly, and it makes me insecure. 2 weeks living by myself for the first time. Oh my god. I don't actually have to wear pants here. I lived alone for 7 years and then let someone down on their luck move in. Getting used to peeing with the door closed again was weird. Oh man. That's another great thing about living alone. I have to remind myself to close the door when I have company over. If I ever want to just leave and start a new life, I could do it. Yes, I did this. I also found out there are a few folks who genuinely miss me and really look forward to when I visit. Unintentional ego boost and quite heartwarming. And if you leave, and it doesn't work out, You can always go back. That's what helped me take a faraway job offer I was scared of taking. Never make someone a priority of your life if you're just an option in theirs. Yes, I was in a 3-year relationship where I made that person my everything and I was just a side thought for them. It's been a year since we broke up, and there are still aftershocks from putting myself through that hell. I just started to date again, and I'm very scared that this will happen again. Hey, I just wanted to say that I was in the exact same situation, but it was an 8-year relationship and it gets better. Breaking up was the most important step and you've done that and now you're a much stronger person overall. The next step in being strong is being able to allow yourself to be vulnerable again when the right person comes along. You can do it. Just keep pressing forward and everything will turn out great. I always told myself that if I allowed my past relationship to ruin my future ones, then I'll let him win. I'm way too competitive to allow that to happen, so I used my horrible experiences to change into a better, stronger, more caring person. That way all the years of hurting went for nothing. If it's any encouragement, I'm now with someone that loves me and makes me feel incredibly happy and valued. You'll find that too. Other people aren't scrutinizing me any more than I'm scrutinizing them. Unless you suck at driving. After you get through surgery, chemo, radiation, organ failure, total disability, and you can still laugh, there's nothing left to be afraid of, except spiders. Hate spiders. My grandma is going through chemo at the moment, and has realized this. She went from being very filled with self-pity, rightfully so, honestly, the week before she started treatment, to baking homemade cakes and cooking dinner again a couple days after her first treatment. I am so proud of her, and yeah, duck spiders yo. When my ex-boss finally snapped and called me a kitten, I thought I never have to come here again. That was very liberating. Oh Michael, you're such a kitten. Today you are you. That is truer than true. There is no one alive who is youer than you. Dr. Swiss. For the last several years I've been immersed in a culture that thrives on uniformity and shuns individuality. It took all of the balls I had to walk away from the fundamental Baptist church. I am not my history. It took me many years, decades, to really get this. I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease in my early 20s. I had a really hard time coping with my fear and shame. I had always been such a private person and only time will tell how bad it will get. I was prescribed embarrassing medications, huge pills, suppositories, and rectally inserted foam. Then one day when I was around 23, after a bout of literally crying on the floor and feeling sorry for myself, I decided not to let it control my life. My symptoms weren't even that bad, but the fear and shame were holding me back. I made a live journal entry and let about 15 of my friends see it. I came out about my disease and how I felt about it, and soon I no longer felt as much shame over it. Over the next year or so I started feeling comfortable with bathroom humor, with willing participants. Both my sisters were diagnosed after me and I led them through and taught them what I learned. I'm in my 30s now and mention my Crohn's disease whenever it's relevant and appropriate. I'm no longer ashamed. I feel that I was diagnosed with Crohn's right before starting high school, which I'd say is arguably the worst time to uncontrollably shit your pants. I was extremely lucky that my friends were so understanding, and I'm glad you were about to come to terms with it too. Also, inserting that rectal foam has got to be the weirdest feeling I've ever experienced. So, what is rectal foam? Does that go in the crack or up the butt? You know nasal spray? It's like that, but you stick the end in your butt and you squeeze out the entire thing at once. It feels like reverse diarrhea, but it made my anus stop bleeding, so I'd say it was a net gain. I'm not going to feel happy all the time, and sometimes I'm going to feel bad for no good reason. It's okay, and it will pass. I have a panic disorder and occasional depressive episodes, and I spent so many years thinking if only I fixed everything in my life. If only I exercised more, changed my diet, had a more positive attitude. Then at some point I got to a place where life was going really well for me. I had a job I liked, Things were going well with friends and family and my boyfriend. I was cooking myself a good dinner every night and jogging regularly, was on antidepressants that were controlling the worst of my problems, and I would still get home from work some nights and think life is miserable and pointless. It's nothing but going through the motions and waiting to die. I have nothing to look forward to. I'll just sit here and stare at the walls. Not often, but enough that it made me rethink my expectations. I had nothing left to fix. And that's when I realized how illogical and unpredictable our brains can be. There is no magic key to life, and that's okay. The best place to find a helping hand is at the end of your arm. Is this about masturbation? It is now. The realization that my parents will always be disappointed in me, no matter what I do, it really opened me up to explore who I really am. And I actually mostly like me these days. There's a few hundred things I still need to fix about myself, but not for them. I can be hated by my progenitors and still have a good life. I lived through years of working to gain some tidbit of approval from my parents. Once I gave that up and realized I deserved to give myself better, I lost a lot of my anxiety and depression. It was great. There is no meaning of life, or rather there is no objective meaning of life. You get to make your own. If there's no ultimate meaning or goal or purpose, you don't have to worry about screwing it up. And you can make up a perfectly satisfying meaning for your life, and it doesn't have to make sense or be appreciated by anyone else. It just has to be valid to you. That no matter what other people think of me, I don't give a duck. The older you get, the less ducks you have to give. No matter what I do, I'll still die in some number of years. Or hours. Or minutes. That the only stress and pressure in life is the stress and pressure you put on yourself, changed my perspective and eventually my life. I realized that the majority of the people around you don't give a single shit what you are doing. Came to this conclusion when my best friend was always worried about people knowing when he was high. We don't really care what they're doing. Why would they care about us? It's easier to be yourself throughout the day when you know that you're just background noise in the lives of most people around you. Life is similar to a video game, and the more seriously you take it, the less enjoyable it gets. I have spent a lot of time playing video games. One of them is League of Legends. After trying for months to get better at it, to climb leagues, to get ahead of other players, to always win, I realized that I was not enjoying the game anymore. I realized that focusing on getting ahead of everyone else made defeats feel like shit and victories feel like an obligation. I realized that the most fun I have had playing the game has been just bullshitting with my friends on normal games, without caring so much of the outcome. In fact, the less I cared, the more I enjoyed winning and the less it bothered me losing. And I in fact enjoyed the little things like getting killed in a stupid way, which would have gotten me into a rage when I played competitive. I made fun of my friends when they died in stupid ways instead of calling them names or just laughed at the stupidity of the situation. And when games finished I felt more fulfilled too. I didn't feel the need to play more and rank up. If life has no meaning or purpose, then you are free to give whatever meaning or purpose that you like. Nobody cares about the things I do or say because they are preoccupied with themselves and worried about what I think of them. I can be myself because it doesn't matter to anyone but me. I was driving home from work one day, very depressed about a myriad of life issues. I looked up at the mountains and thought, those mountains were here long before I was and they will be here long after I am gone. What do they care if I'm having issues at work? Why do I really care? Honestly, that simple thought instantly freed my mind of all the weight it was under. We aren't saving the earth. We're saving ourselves. The earth will be just fine. Life will continue marching merrily along if we annihilate humanity. I am but a tiny organism on a small planet circling a relatively small star in a galaxy of millions of stars, and we keep finding more galaxies. None of this matters very much. The fact that suicide is an option is very comforting. I don't feel like actually doing it, but knowing there is an out is nice. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.